Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 670 on Tuesday, the 10th of February, 2026. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear us ponder if it's finally time to re-evaluate one mandate. In new car news, you'll hear us ask why, at least twice. And in points of interest, you will read about photographing your car. And this week we have no follow-up, and it is near the start of the month, Alan.
It is.
That can only mean one thing, can it not?
Yes, it means it's time for the new car registration figures for last month. Woo, I hear you all cry. Headline figure. Year on year, so compared to January 2025, the new car market rose 3.4%. Woo! It rose to 144,127 units. The volume of battery electric cars rose this year compared to last year, but market share is down. And overall, the outlook anticipates the market to grow 1.4% in 2026, which is basically a rounding error. And the EV share, however, is expected to rise to 28.5%. I'm sure we'll come back to that shortly.
Mm-hmm.
As far as fueling and stuff, the number of just petrol and mild hybrids went down 1.9% of market share to 68,757. For diesel, it was down 8.8% to 7,862. Hybrids were up 4.8% year on year to 19,297. Battery electric vehicles, the second largest segment nowadays, were 29,654 vehicles. That's up 0.1%. And plug-in hybrids, 18,557. That's up 47.3% compared to last year. Overall market share, 47.7% for petrol, 5.5% for diesel, 13.4% for hybrids, 20.6% for battery electric vehicles, and 12.9% for plug-in hybrids. The numbers this time make it the most card January since 2024. About the same number, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very close.
Hard to tell on the graph. It's very, very close. And if it's not 2024, then it's 2020.
Yeah.
Because we're scientific about these things.
Do you want to just do a quick rundown of who registered or what they were registered against? Like private, fleet, business?
Private registrations are up 4.5%, making that 36.4% market share. Fleet were up 1.6%, making it 61.2% market share. And business were up 46.5% to 2.4% market share compared to last year.
Yeah.
Fleet is still the biggie.
Yeah, it's critical.
It is so important.
It lopsides the whole market and the industry.
Yeah. And that's why, the biggest fleets, like Motability and stuff, are so important.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons we talk about that kind of thing. The top models list, let's run through these. Numbers very low. Really, there's so much segmentation in the market these days, so many models on offer that you don't actually have to register a huge number of vehicles every day to get onto this. Number 10, the MGHS 2035. Number 9, Volkswagen Golf 2072. Number 8, the Volkswagen Tiguan 2425. Just ahead of that is the Nissan Juke 2517. Number 6 is the BYD Seal U, which is 2,550. Number 5, the Vauxhall Corsa, 2,902. Number 4, the Nissan Qashqai, 2,995. Number 3, the Ford Puma. Finally, a bit of a gap in there because everything else has been divided by under 1,000 vehicles across the month so far. Ford Puma, 3,715. Another jump to number 2, the Jaiku 7, 4,059. And ahead of that, at number 1, the Kia Sportage, 4,675.
Yep.
Not a lot in most of that, and then the sort of top 3 really quite far ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll take us onto the spreadsheet of doom then, and I will run through the doom.
There's not a lot of doom, really. I get the longer list this month.
So I have to go all the way down to the letter D to get the first doomy that meets our criteria, and that is Dacia's down 16.5%, DS is down 81%.
So 19.
Yes.
19 registered.
Wow. Fiat is down 82%. Now, that is quite a drop because in 2025 they registered 1,428. And then this year they registered 257.
Must be an availability thing. What do they have to sell? 500s, I suppose.
500. Isn't the Grandi Pandi out now? Because they've got the 500, the 600.
I didn't think it was quite out yet.
I can't remember when it's coming out.
In January?
No. GWM is down 85%. Honda is down 46%. Jaguar, surprising no one, is down 99.23%. Although they've still registered 6 cars somehow.
Yes. You must have found them sitting in the back. Oh, we thought these ones were in for warranty work. No, they've not been sold yet or registered yet.
Jeep is down 38%. Lotus is down 85%. Now, that is a lot in terms of the pure numbers, because in 25, that was 292. In 26, it was only 43, but that's an awful lot in terms of money as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maxis is down 100% because they registered no cars.
Plenty of vans, though, so don't get...
Yeah, although the van market was suppressed in January, shall we say. Nissan was down 17%, Peugeot are down 19%, Seat down 33%, and Tesla is down 51%.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
On the up, however, Abarth up 16% to 22 vehicles this year, so that's a whopping 3 more than last year. Alfa Romeo is up 206%, Alpine is up 1,600%, and therefore win the non-sponsored MG award.
We're very deliberate with the wording.
Yes, we just want it to be clear. Watch out for posts from other people coming up soon. Apparently we're influencers. Audi 17%, BYD up 149%, Citroen up 97%. That's where all the DS buyers are, obviously. Cupra up 21% if you want a really aggressively driven car. Ineos up 136%. Jaiku up, and if it wasn't for Alpine, they would be getting the award. 569.89% to give you to the 2 decimal places. KGM up 46%, Maserati up 15%, Omoda up 211%, Polestar up 43%, Skywell up 500%.
Well, I think that backs it up when you look at the numbers.
Well, yes, okay, so it's gone from 1 to 6, all
yes.
right? That's...
So I think the who is justified in this instance.
Yes, I think it is, actually. Soon at the bottom, we'll have other British and other Chinese.
Yeah, just me.
As opposed to just other imports. Where were we? Smart up 34, Subaru up 48, and other British up 23.45. Other imports, by the way, down 2.36%.
Mike Hawes, as ever, rounds out the article that is linked in the show notes from SMMT by saying Britain's new car market is building back momentum after a challenging start to the decade. It is also decarbonising more rapidly than ever, and despite a January dip in EV market share, the signs point to growth by the end of the year. The pace of the transition, however, may be slowing and is certainly behind mandated targets. With sales of new pure petrol and diesel cars planned to end in less than 4 years, there needs to be a comprehensive review of the transition now to ensure ambition can match reality. Now, I asked the question before the show of Alan. I said, is it time that we start listening to this? Because the SMT have been saying this for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've brushed it off as they're looking for more financial help.
I just don't think they're going to manage the numbers. I think the made-up numbers don't match reality. And the thing is that really the government numbers are made-up numbers, and they're harsher than ever. It's like, we're going to have a bigger hair shirt than you are. It's going to be itchier and scratchier because we're not part of Europe anymore. And that's basically what has been done here. I've made some comment about, well, that's been British politics for the last 10 years. And we also said we weren't going to go into a great long political rant and that we would fail. And I have done.
But the assumptions that the government made and subsequent governments, with the help of civil servants, have not borne out to be the actual reality.
Yeah.
And no one is sitting there going, maybe, lads, we all just need to take a breath and readjust again back to what reality is, which is sort of along the lines of a little bit less than pre-2019.
Yeah, agreed.
Will it happen, though?
Who knows? Huh?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move us on to Stellantis. Ooh, not a good week for Stellantis last week. They announced on Friday, to the shock of the stock market, it has to be said, that they were going to have to write down, or they had written down, 22.2 billion euros by the fact that they were changing their EV strategy.
No, sorry, yes. But by changing their EV strategy, that means not having an EV as the strategy, particularly in North America. Let's just be clear about this. A lot of it, whilst Stellantis are not always doing awesome everywhere, North America has been the real problem.
Yes.
For a long time now, but since before it was Stellantis.
It feels like it's institutionalized problems. Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, it's aiming for their target market and stuff. I mean, even when I was over there, the joke was that you could get just about any finance to buy a Dodge muscle car or a Ram pickup. Didn't matter how bad your credit score was, they'd finance you because they were desperate, and that was 3 years ago.
It does feel like there is a lack of strategy, there is a lack of focus, there's a lack of focus across the group in which brands should we actually have, should we continue with, and what is their purpose? I
mean, DS, there's the example. Six units.
Well, Maserati
in the UK.
DS. You go to America, well, you got
Maserati was up, but you do see more of that, more of that kind of thing in the US. But whether or not they're profitable is a different matter.
It still feels like no one's going, this is what we want Maserati to do, and it's called X. They've got no... It just feels like there's no strategies behind each of the brands. It's just quick pump out cars and sell them.
I think you can almost do it for Peugeot, Fiat, and the cause. Peugeot, Fiat, Citroën, and possibly Jeep. Jeep in Europe. Okay, let me be careful about that because some of the various Cherokees and stuff in the US all blur into one and seem to be mostly on rental fleets and driven by border control agents.
But you say that, but Peugeot, Fiat, and Citroën, if you just lump in DS in there as well, they're fighting each other. I know different countries have preferences.
That was going to be my bit. And then, of course, there's Opel and Vauxhall, and who knows what the pair of them have been doing. I mean, that's even since General Motors days.
Because if you just look at Britain, they're fairly spread across those brands, what people go for. So you are fighting for a smaller market, and you're fighting for the same customer.
Yeah.
That the Chinese are now coming into.
I was going to say that the Chinese are now coming in, and especially in the sort of Vauxhall Opel space, are starting to decimate. I mean, people buy the other three that we listed because they're interesting. And again, there's nothing wrong with the actual products from Vauxhall and Opel.
No.
The problem is the badge and what people think of that badge.
What it has historically had.
Yes, what it's historically meant. Yeah.
Anyway, the announcement of that was much higher than the market. The market was expecting there to be a write-down, but they were not expecting 22.2 billion euros. That caused the markets to react emotionally, I feel, and not in a positive way. Alan showed a screen grab of the share price last week. And if you can imagine the White Cliffs of Dover, and at the top is Friday before the announcement, then the announcement happened, so there is that verticality, and then there is the sea at the bottom.
Yes.
It is horrific. They've bounced back slightly from that very low position.
Yeah.
It's more than the market was expecting. I'm hoping now that this means that they are going to come out with a strategy that is not just cut prices, cut costs, screw suppliers, which was the last, not the last chat, but the chat before.
Yes. Yeah, it hasn't been working so well for them. So fingers crossed they don't decide to continue with it.
Yeah. But just to get all the rest of the bad news out about Stellantis in one big hit, they had a joint partnership with LG Energy Solution in Canada for a company called Nexstar Energy, which are large battery factories based in Canada. And the whole thing was this was all going to tie in with, obviously, Stellantis America, building cars in Canada, building cars in America, and there being locally sourced batteries that they can access quickly. They've got a control of the supply chain, all the sort of stuff we talk about you need to have, you should be having, and it also gives you some supply chain security. What has happened, though, is Stellantis has agreed to sell their 49% equity stake to LG Energy Solutions, so they've walked away from that, and they agreed that for about $100. I've read somewhere else that I don't think is in this article.
Wow.
That's an ouch.
Yeah.
This is all part of that $22 billion.
It's all part of that $22 billion. You see that this kind of thing happens because of all the tariffs and stuff. Yeah, they built it on the wrong side of a river. That is literally what's happened here. Windsor, Ontario, and Detroit, Michigan are almost contiguous.
They could throw snowballs at each other, couldn't they?
Almost. There is actually the world's only drive-through underground border crossing is between Windsor and Detroit, if I'm right. I almost took a wrong turning and ended up in Canada when I was in Detroit. No, literally. They really are that close. And this is literally the fact it was built on one side of the river, not the other. Just mad.
Yep. Well, further to battery factories that Stellantis are involved in, they were backing Automotive Cells, or ACC, as they're more commonly known, in building battery factories in Europe. Now, the two large factories that were penciled in for Italy and Germany have been on pause, and they have now actually stated that these are going to be cancelled, so they won't be built. So that is two more electric battery factories that Europe thought they were going to have, which would give them, again, supply chain security, would give them locally sourced batteries, all the positives of having your supply chain so close to your factories, all that sort of stuff now out the window.
Yeah.
And it puts even more reliance, or continues the reliance, on Chinese manufactured or maybe South Korean.
And this is the thing. People have forgotten the lessons of COVID. It's amazing how quickly people and organizations have gone, yeah, but actually we can save loads of money if we do it this way again.
Anyway, should we move back to the UK and news that should really surprise no one, and no one should be shocked at this?
Yeah, it's not a financial statement, really, and it's JLR this time, and they have posted a considerable loss over the last 3 months, near 40% loss in the last 3 months. Not a big surprise. I don't think anyone is too shocked by that at all, or if you are shocked by it, then you've really not been paying attention to too much. A lot of 2025, the entire company was crippled. The fact that they have much revenue at all these days is really quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
In the 3 months to December 2025, they reported a £310 million loss. Revenues fell 39% to $4.5 billion for the quarter, and $16 billion year to date, which is a fall of 24%. That they could still post, doing my maths now, 61% of the revenue.
Only to lose a quarter when you lost half the year.
Is really,
that's really quite good,
very impressive.
Yeah,
truly.
And this is from us who routinely put the boot into that company, but that is very impressive. That is really well done.
It's testament to the efforts of somebody, and in fact, probably quite a lot of people, to be honest. The cost of the TAC alone to the company, the cost that they have managed to attribute it has risen by an additional £64 million. It now stands at £260 million. IT security is really important, people. Yeah, go change your passwords. Obviously, there's no Jaguar brand anymore, despite 6 units being registered in January there. But yeah, downturns in the Chinese economy, massive cyber attack, all sorts of things, losing an entire, actually significant brand, despite what everybody might say.
And the tariffs.
Tariffs. I'm sorry, the list is so long I've forgotten what most of the list is now.
Yeah.
But yes, and all the restructuring and all of that kind of stuff. It's not great, but they're big enough and robust enough to weather it. And it's easy to see where the issues came from and hopefully to fix them. Well, I mean, they're being fixed, aren't they, really?
Well, their MD is an ex-finance chief.
Mm-hmm.
They have, at this very turbulent time for them, should we say, they have got someone who's got a lot of focus on the purse strings and watching the finance side of things, which is probably a very good thing.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll talk about that a little bit more, sure.
Well, let's move on to the next article then, because it is about Toyota, who have decided that after so long with just one CEO, they want to now play musical chairs a lot more regular than they have done.
It does seem so, yeah. Koji Sato, who has been the CEO for the last 3 years or so, is going to take on a role on the board of directors. As a result, the current Chief Financial Officer, Kenta Kon, will take over his position, and that will happen on the 1st of April, 2026. This seems quite strange.
Yes.
Because Sato-san's moving on far more quickly than I think would have been expected. I mean, he's 56, and he's going to take over the new role of the Vice Chairman and Chief Industrial Officer, which we couldn't quite work this one out if this was a kind of sideways or whatever. But then we can't work out any reason why he might be being sideways or whatever, because the company's share price has more than doubled during his tenure. The Toyota's raised its profit forecast for the fiscal year ending 31st of March to 3.57 trillion yen, or 19.6 billion euros, or about, what's that? That's 4/5 of a Stellantis loss.
But on top of that, they've got a roadmap for models across their brands.
Yeah.
Especially electric-wise. They've brought out a bunch of new models which have been well received. I mean, some are so well received we can't actually... I mean, good luck trying to get them in the UK.
But then they unveiled the new... I actually haven't seen it today, but the new electric Highlander and things, which I think should be a good seller in the US, and may mean that the Highlander comes back to Europe. Fingers crossed. There's lots happening there. There's lots of interesting stuff coming on a really sound business foundation.
Yeah, this is a surprise because Toyota don't typically do shock moves like this.
Mm-hmm. It's not that much of a shock move in that they're giving 3 months' notice, but yeah.
No, but I mean, to change him after 3 years when nothing obviously is going wrong, it's not like he's had a scandal. It's not like he's done anything wrong. It's not like they've brought out 3 products and they've absolutely bombed because of, I don't know, software and battery issues, say.
Yeah.
There's none of that going on.
Not that we've noticed yet.
And it will be interesting to see if there is a change in tactics when the new chap comes in from the 1st of April.
Going back to the Jaguar story, before we started recording, Andrew and I were saying how important it was that companies with dynamic, changing, maybe slightly interesting product, that their CEO and the people at the top were really quite stable and sensible and getting it on a stable footing. And that's exactly what we were talking about with JLR just there. And we were also saying that, well, actually Toyota has the firm underpinnings of trust and quality and all these things. They've kind of got that stuff down pat. That what they need to make their products more interesting to the world is someone who's dynamic and interesting and all these kinds of things. And we were slightly worried that maybe a 57-year-old chief financial officer taking over at the top of Toyota and might not necessarily be able to deliver from that point of view.
Yes, and we are purely going off stereotypes on this, by the way. We have no idea.
We are absolutely stereotyping the socks out of this. All we know He could go drifting every weekend.
Yes.
And have his own thing in the, and paragliding, on a Wednesday afternoon or something. We just don't know. But
that's why I say it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he takes over. Is it more of the same, or is there a shift?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm going to move us on to a bit of sad news, actually. And we've talked about this company a few times in the past years, and it's Ox Delivers. They make or have made the flat pack, low-cost, sort of small lorry truck vehicle that was specifically aimed at developing world countries where the terrain and the affordability were not complementary to more expensive high-tech vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They are run by a company called Ox Delivers, and they announced last week that unless they got an immediate injection of cash to the tune of about £150,000, plus then taking on the costs moving forward, they were going to go into receivership as of the 5th of February. Now, today I searched high and low across their internet to find out if they had actually gone into receivership or insolvency, and I could not find any more details to say that they had. There was lots of articles saying they're in danger, but none that did. If we remember, the Ox truck was originally designed by Gordon Murray, so I really hope somebody does come in and helps them.
Yeah, me too.
But it doesn't look good.
No. Anyway, on which cheery note, last story before Guilt Minute, and this is that EZO, EZO, has begun its rollout of EV chargers in the north of Scotland. EZO is the commercial partner, really, who's taking over the Charge Place Scotland network.
Mm-hmm.
And the 177 of those will be migrating to the EZO platform certainly to start with, across 4 different councils. Charge Place Scotland was a great idea. You put in loads of 50 kilowatt charging units around Scotland. You make them relatively easy to access for the time, and you make them free, and then all of a sudden you end up with EVs in all sorts of places, and you basically, the whole chicken and egg car infrastructure thing. Then people could go, hang on a minute, I know where there's rapid charging infrastructure. That means that I'm more likely to buy an electric vehicle and have a charger at home, and then I know that I can go boost up my charge if I need to, or if I don't have a charger at home. Trouble is, of course, they put them all in, did all that, a decade ago, and there's not been much evolution since, because it was in and it was there, and as long as they just kind of worked, then that was what mattered. This is that move on to the next stage, which probably should have happened 3 or 4 years ago, because things have become less and less reliable over that time. And of course, nowadays, there is a lot of competition up here. To start with, there wasn't, because they were trying to compete with free, but as different charge networks innovated in their own special ways, be they just Tesla, be they faster speeds, all of these kind of things, then there is now more competition. But there are certain places where Charge Place is still the only viable supplier. Think about Ullapool, think about the very north coast, if you want some sort of examples there. The network is still going to be free to use, and the EZO app, which you'll now need to use to actually activate the free charges, will also give you live updates on status and all of these, availability and all of these kind of good things. This is actually a good thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next, because I know that some of the Charge Place Scotland chargers around here that we used when we were charging around Britain are looking a little bit sorry for themselves these days.
I was going to say, maybe we should try it again and see how things are going.
I'm up for trying it again, because my feeling is it's a piece of cake now. There will not be the 20-hour days and whatever it was that we did the last time, where we start off at 7 in the morning, not quite 20 hours, to start off before 7 in the morning and not get to bed until after midnight.
Yes, there were a few long days.
There were a few, yes. I never really recommend going from Inverness to Glasgow via Wick, Thurso,
I recommend it thoroughly, as long as you have a local driver.
Drumnadrocket, Fort William, trying to get the flipping Italian camper vans off the road.
Oh, dear. Would have put Colin McRae to shame.
Those were the days.
Anyway, that is the end of the first part of the show.
Yes.
What does that mean, Alan?
That means it's Guilt Minute, Andrew, the quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel that Motoring Podcast is worth small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. You will also, once I have finished setting it up, because it's turned out to be more complicated than I thought, be able to be a member on YouTube as well very shortly. And then we'll see how popular that is and see what we do about it. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and T-shirts, which again, now that, and thank you everyone, by the way, for watching and listening enough on YouTube, because we have, well, I say finally, it's after 6 months of effort out of 10 years.
Yes.
Then we have actually reached monetization. It scared us for so long, to be honest. I mean, that really is.
Well, it was difficult.
Yeah.
It was extra. It was a lot of extra work, but the fact that that YouTube now just takes in the RSS feed automatically,
yeah,
it means we don't have to upload a separate thing, and that just takes time, which we didn't have.
Yeah, I mean, that was really the kicker. Yeah, absolutely. But we also understand that if you don't have any spare cash, you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all that, and some of you do so, thank you very much. Then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does.
Yes.
And so that means it's new car news. And Alan, I'm confused by this next story.
You very much are confused, aren't you? The next story is Chery International is to launch a new... this just gets me, I'm sorry. So Chery International, as if you thought that wasn't a bad enough a name, is to launch a new brand called Lepas, or Lepas, in the UK. And that's going to join its existing brands of Chery, Jaiku, and Omoda. This Lepas L4, which seems to be another random name or number. Oh, the L4 and the L6 crossovers, which will come with combinations of combustion, plug-in hybrid, and battery electric powertrains, is exactly the same platform as the Omoda 5, the Jaiku 5, the Jaiku 7. It seems that what is happening here is that, sure, we want that car, but if it's a Jaiku, it's a bit square looking. If it's an Omoda, it's not quite curvy enough for me. As a result, I'll choose the Lepas. And I don't know. It's just...
It feels a bit Stellantis-y. We're fighting each other for the same market.
It really does. And I just don't get it. I just don't understand why you wouldn't try to bring one brand and make that your solid offering. I don't get why you're doing all the little bits. Sorry.
Here's the problem.
Tell me.
No, you're quite right. The problem is that instead of establishing any of these with a unique identity, we're getting new upon new upon new. We're sitting there a little bit rabbit in the headlight, or the British consumer is going, oh, it's another Chinese. Oh, it's another Chinese. And it's almost like it's too much now. It's far too much, because nobody's establishing what they are, who they're for, why they do it, anything like this. They're all... and
why do I buy this and not a BYD or a Skywell or Elite Motor? At least if I go for Elite Motor, I'm buying it from a Vauxhall dealership, essentially, or a Fiat dealership.
Yeah, but are they going to be here in 6 months? You know, there's that many coming now. You look at the UK. I mean, we just did the SMT figures earlier on. That spreadsheet is going to get really quite big soon. And you look at all those and you go, the market cannot sustain all these brands. We are going to lose brands, and I expect them to be some of the established Western brands, but I expect some of the Chinese ones to just go away again. And then you look at like KGM and Maxus, and you think, how are you supposed to compete, because nobody really knows about you?
Not really, are they? That's the thing. You see, I can understand it. I get it with the BYDs. I get it with Leap Motor, because there's enough of a base and a background there. BYD, there's big dealer groups. It's all big dealer groups, whereas these are just like scattered around. And I know that they're just going to pummel in volume and pile them high, flog them cheap.
Yeah, but okay, they have infrastructure, but does the customer know BYD? Does the customer know Leap Motor? Let alone
Leap Motor, no.
I mean, to reinforce your point though, at this moment, let alone Cheery, let alone, well, okay, a bit more Omoda and a bit more JQ because people see them out and about, possibly. But
yeah,
I had to look up Cheery cars, that are selling under their own brand, because I'd forgotten that they were doing that. And then when you look at them, you go, well, this is just an SUV.
I don't know. I just don't. I mean, there's not much about this. It's probably going to be cheap.
Yeah, it's just I don't understand what the point is.
No.
Again, and we've talked about this with some established brands. Tell me the story. What's the reasoning? Give me something to work with.
Well, that's it.
And at the minute, it's just they're there.
And I feel that the Cheery offerings are that. They're just, here's some commodity cars for you. Whereas I feel that some of the other offerings, and I'm going back to the BYD one again, some of the other offerings, there is a company behind it. And I felt that for a long, long time. And even Geely, there's a company behind it. I don't understand why Geely's offering their own brands of car. To be honest, I would have thought that Polestar, Volvo, etc., Lotus, etc., were enough. LEVC, etc., etc., etc. Would have been enough for them, but it seems not. And so that's where you people understand where those others sit, really, but not necessarily where some of the more randomized brands are.
And there's more coming this year. And there is more coming from different manufacturers.
I mean, we saw Skywell earlier on, all sorts of other stuff.
There's going to be some we talk about next week. It's just Anyway, going on to established companies who did come across to the UK not that long ago.
With a rebadged Mazda 121. Let's not undersell it here.
Yeah. And that is Kia. They have updated their very popular Niro. It's now going to reflect the design language of the Opposites United that is adorning their electric and internal combustion engined vehicles. It smartens it up. It brings it in line with the rest of the range outside and inside. Obviously, the dashboard and interior. If you've seen any of the latest models from Kia, you'll just go, oh yeah, obviously that's Kia. When you look at the layout, it just matches everything else. Brings that. I think that's the last model in the range to be brought up to date in that, because they did the Stonic a little while ago, a couple of months ago or a month or so ago. Details and pricing they are going to announce in March, but we can apparently expect that it will still have powertrain options of hybrid, plug-in hybrid and electric, as they seem to be very popular amongst people, including taxi drivers. I've noticed a lot of taxi drivers down my way do like a Niro. Anyway, do you want to take us on to, well,
this is a good one because this one has divided us.
The first time I saw this, I had to double check it wasn't April the 1st for starters.
The Ferrari Luce, Ferrari's debut EV. They have revealed the name and they have revealed the Johnny Ive designed interior. Well, dashboard. Yeah, and steering wheel. And it seems that buttons are the new luxury in a world where everything goes into a touchscreen. There's a lot of renders and a couple of models.
Yeah.
Photographs of a couple of models seem to have been shown. And as a result, it's kind of hard to tell what stuff really looks like and how it's going to really feel.
Yes, I want to make it clear before I get going in a minute. I want to make it clear that I acknowledge that we are looking at something completely out of context. We need to see it in the car, and ideally, I need to see it in person, because some of these renders imply stuff that, according to the specifications, is not true.
Basically, what he's trying to say is some of them look really, really plasticky, and that if Logitech sold something like that, then he would feel that he was being ripped off. When you then look at some of the photos and some of the anodized aluminium and stuff, you think, actually, that's probably really nice to hold. And that's probably really just a nice thing to look at as well. I'm trying to Finn to basically beat down the whole argument before he's even got started. I'm probably failing. But then what's really nice is that there is a mixture of analog gauges, digital screens, both for the binnacle in front of the driver, which I think is kind of cool, behind a steering wheel with anodized aluminium spokes, and it's still got little magnetos and all sorts of little switches in the steering wheel, as is the Ferrari way. So it's not a million miles off modern Ferraris. There's quite a lot of the style of the spokes of the wheel and everything. Very much hark back to the classics, but with a more modern material. So instead of polished stainless, it's, of course, anodized aluminium. Of course, it's anodized aluminium. It's Johnny Ive. There's that area. Then they've shared some pictures and some renders, but also some photos of center consoles with switches and a tiny little stubby nubbin for being able to select your gear. And I've just realized on the photograph, the bit that sticks up with the Ferrari badge on with its dancing donkey is
that the key?
That's the key, isn't it? The key sits on the middle bit. That's how you activate it all.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. And the other thing they've shown off that people have been talking about is the sort of center screen, which is mostly screen with some switches at the bottom for temperature and these kind of things. Some toggle switchy type activations. And then it's got this kind of aluminium bar that sticks out that does make it look like a hostess trolley, but that you're meant to be able to rest your wrist on when you're using the screen, so that your hand's not bouncing around.
How small is your hand if you're resting your wrist on that? That looks like it's a grab rail to then pull it to face you, because nothing screams Ferrari more than a grab rail to move an iPad.
That clock bit that's also in that screen. This is the last bit I want to talk about.
Which I like the fact there's a clock there. I
like the fact it's a clock. Some of my favourite cars have had separate and interesting clocks. What they haven't had is a broad alarm clock built in. I really hope there's some kind of licensing agreement here, because otherwise somebody's going to be in trouble. Just the shape of the arms of the hands of the clock and stuff they're just very broad. And all of the markings. But it seems that actually that's it. In the background there, that is actually a screen as well. So the clock can then turn into a compass, can turn into all sorts of other fun and interesting things. I think there's a couple of buttons I see poking out the top bezel, so it probably works as a lap timer and all sorts of things like that as well. I think it's interesting. I think it's different. I really want to see it in real life before I give a final thought. I think some bits might be a bit of a fiddle, but I'm interested to see how it looks with context.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to see it in situ, because as a result, one has to hold back on one's positive and negatives. However, there's a couple of things from the overall design for me. One of them is I am so reminded of the Apple CarPlay Plus or whatever the thing is Aston Martin have agreed to.
Yeah, but this is...
No, I'm looking at all this and I'm going, what of that is Ferrari apart from you've got some coloured dials that's the same and you've put a Ferrari badge in there?
No. I'm sorry. I'm not letting you get away with that. The layout of them, the bezel, the actual instrument binnacle and all that part, a swiveling iPad does nothing for me.
But it doesn't look real. That's what I'm saying. It looks like the Apple CarPlay one, which is here's a pastiche of what one could look like.
Yes, but it is real. That's the difference. It's a physical thing.
If we can see them,
we've got to see it in real life.
I would love to see one, because then I would hope I would be happy to be very wrong. But the images I've seen so far, and I know looking on LinkedIn, there's a ton of people who've gone very gooey for all this.
Oh, of course there are.
I don't see it.
There's the kind
I
of person
do not
that's on LinkedIn.
see it at all, I have to say.
I am actually, as I go through this, I'm basically ignoring any of the ones with the black background because they're the renderings, and mostly going from the ones which are clearly in a room.
In the next week, I'm going to try and watch some of the videos, so that will probably help me, because I'll see an actual person prodding at things.
Ferrari chairman John Elkann described it as timeless.
Oh, for God's sake. Let's move on to points of interest, because something slightly better.
This is much better.
This is our lunchtime read, and it is thanks to Haggerty, and it's also thanks to often a contributor to our points of to our various bits of points of interest, and that's Auntie Ingram. He has written an article that is titled "Photography: How to Photograph Your Car," and it's tying in two things here. So this is why we felt we wanted to include it. One of them is the Festival of the Unexceptional tickets are on sale. Have you booked yours? I know I can't make it again. However, if you do wish to submit your car or actually take photographs of your car at all, Anthony does this fantastic article here, has written this fantastic article that explains some of the basics of taking a photograph and showing your car off the best it can be. But particularly if you do wish to submit it to Festival of the Unexceptional.
It's for the Concours d'Ordinaire. So it's
Yes.
for the sort of Concours bit. You don't have to have submitted pictures to turn up, even if you have a tedious car. Just worth making that very clear.
No. Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to imply that. No, you're quite right to step in there. But yeah, it's a great article, great examples on how to take the photographs and stuff. And Anthony does take a fantastic shot. To be fair to him, his photos are really excellent. But yeah, do click the link in the show notes. One, because there's a link to buying your tickets. But two, also to read this fantastic article.
It's also worth saying that Finn Andrews' Peugeot 205 Open that is featured in the article and was the subject of this kind of stuff is also absolutely glorious as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very much in love with it, I believe.
Oh, good.
List of the week then. List of the week this week comes from Autocar. It's by Richard Dredge, and it's the finest mid-engine marvels. And supposedly it's well over 60 years since the first mid-engine road car was made, so let's celebrate the best. And there are many of them. There's 68 slides here, so we can do at least one each.
Yes, we can.
Andrew.
Well, once I discounted two that I don't believe belong on this list, that brings it down to just a mere 66 slides for me to look at. I am asking ladies and gentlemen to turn to slide 9 in their pack, and the Tommaso Pantera from 1971.
I
just think it looks fabulous, and particularly the picture they've got here, because it's in racing spec.
Yes.
Or liveries, sorry, not spec. I love the fact that they decided, yes, if you're going to do wheel arches, go big or go home. So they went big, and it's a mad car, particularly from 1971, but it still looks awesome.
The original was far more dainty than that. It was one of these cars, but it was still a good looker. I think it's Gandini. Someone will correct me. I think it's a Gandini design from that era. Yeah, very cool. The Tommaso Pantera. It just it's got a wonderful supercar name as well.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I could have picked
There's so many.
A good 60 of these, and I would be very happy with them. Okay, Alan. Because we're allowed more than, it could be both of us this week.
I think it can easily be both of us without giving away the entire list. I'm going to go to slide 18 in your your handout, everyone.
Okay.
Which is the BMW M1.
Yes.
Which is it really a Lamborghini? Maybe a Lamborghini. Who knows? But Lamborghini were definitely contracted to build them, and how many they made of those and how well they did it was a matter of debate, I believe. But yes, this one is Giugiaro as opposed to Gandini. Yeah, 3.4 litre straight six, 277 brake horsepower, and they built 456 of them. They are absolutely amazing looking things.
It must have been such a shock to the world when BMW came out with that.
Have I ever told my BMW M1 story? It's actually handed down to me by my father, because he worked in Saudi in the early 1980s. So someone had bought one of these. Someone very senior in the bank he worked in had bought one to add to his collection, because it was that kind of time in Saudi Arabia. And so there was no real sort of minimum driving age. He sent one of his sons off to collect it from the airport, because it had been flown in, of course, to collect it from the airport. So he went off to collect it from the airport, then drove it all the way back from the airport home. in second gear because he'd only ever driven automatics before and didn't know how to drive a manual.
Oh, God.
As a result, the engine was absolutely shredded, and basically the next journey for the M1 was to go back to the airport, back on the plane, back to Munich, and to be completely redone mechanically, and for that to not happen again. Yeah. I don't know. That probably says far more about Saudi Arabia in the early 1980s than it does about the BMW M1. That's definitely the way I read it anyway. I think they're fantastic looking things. So many great vehicles in this list. I'm almost curious which ones you don't think should be there.
I've just closed the thing down, but if you keep going, it's towards the end. There's an Alpha.
I forgot that everybody could see what I was going to talk about just there.
And the one you've just gone past 3-4 slides ago. The Panther and the Alpha. I don't agree with those.
The Panther Solo? They did actually make some of them.
Doesn't mean it was great.
Yeah, it was a Ford Sierra Cosworth drivetrain, wasn't it? Someone will tell me otherwise, I'm sure. Yeah, I remember Autocar going all gooey over it, but then look at it these days and what car has given out their car of the year to something which hasn't actually been driven on roads in the UK yet. So what do I know?
Yes.
Dear me.
Anyway, that takes us on to the and finally. And this week, we are going to recommend a video from Auto Shenanigans. And basically, he wanted to relive some of his youth, which was watching a lot of rallying, particularly Colin McRae. And this is the time when he was in the focus. And it was the Rally of Great Britain, and there were 4 drivers in contention for the championship when it came to the last race, which is utterly amazing. It doesn't happen these days in WRC, unfortunately. No. Very rare. They might get 2, but not 4. And he actually walks a section of the rally that was in Wales, and and I won't spoil it in case you can't remember what actually happened. But he talks a lot about Colin McRae's driving style and how that was exciting, both the ups and the downs on that side of thing. But it's brilliant to look at the rally stages now and sort of go, crikey. They were going how fast through there?
Yeah, I mean, there's little snippets and stuff of them doing like 80 miles an hour through some of these bends.
Yeah.
Is that us? Is that us for the week?
I think it is. Yeah.
Probably should be, given how long we've been talking.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, as always. Thank you very much for your support, etc. And don't forget that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback. Share your thoughts for the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for my name on LinkedIn, because I'm not on anything else at the moment. Alan, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you, particularly to tell you the drivetrains, etc., that you've mentioned throughout the show? How can they do that personally?
You can do that, and it's best via Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY.bsky.social. We'll be back very soon. Until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.